Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Die Another Day from 2002, of course directed by Lee Tamahori, and yes, the 20th Bond film in the franchise, of course. The 40th anniversary of Bond, this film marked, and yes, the fourth and final Pierce Brosnan Bond film. So yes, we are back once again, and this time, would you believe it, Die Another Day, we're here once again to discuss this film. So yes, very interesting. There will be spoilers in this discussion, so if you haven't seen this film, simply a friendly recommendation that you watch the film first, and then you can come back with ease, knowing that you kind of know the film, so you won't receive any kind of spoilers in that sense. There will be kind of plot or events discussion. So yes, with that said, we are back once again. I wanted to kind of talk about this this film very soon, after kind of uploading The World Is Not Enough review again. So yeah, I watched this film on Thursday night again. Tonight is Monday, and yeah, I've got free time over the next couple of weeks, loads of free time, so expect maybe more frequent than usual kind of uploads. But yes, this film here, this is of course a very, very famous film for a number of reasons you wouldn't expect, for a Bond film, of course. And yeah, after this, of course, we had Casino Royale. Very, very. This is a very interesting Bond film. It's a Bond film, of course, not popular at all. In fact, this is, overall at least, the least popular Bond film, and many would say this is the absolute worst, or at least one of the very worst. Not much people really take to this film, and of course, yes, it was the 40th anniversary of Bond, and it's a film that does reference a lot of the Bond films. In fact, really all of the Bond films prior to this are referenced in some way. The official ones anyway. You've got especially the kind of moment where you see the room with all the different gadgets and stuff of the past Bond films. You've even got an actual full-on kind of discussion about the jetpack, for example, from Thunderball. All these different things. Octopussy, as well, and they're quite prominent, from Rush of Love, of course, the shoe and everything there. And yes, it's a very much a very it's kind of trying to bring things together from other past Bond films. And of course, many regard this as kind of almost kind of a parody of Bond. I do agree with that, which we'll get to. But yes, this film for me, this is a film I've seen. I saw this a few times as a kid, quite a few times. I didn't see it as much as Tomorrow Never Dies and GoldenEye, and my brother and me, just with my family would watch different Bond films. And this one, whenever it was on, there's definitely things that I remember I felt very, very, just bored with, and also just simply, I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how I felt about different moments. Basically, they gave me a weird effect. They kind of, they gave me a kind of tired effect. But really, especially in the second half, it just to an adult, I think this, it's quite baffling. It's a very, very strange film, this one, and. Yes, you probably notice on my channel, the last year or so, really, I haven't really been uploading any reviews, or too many reviews where there's a negative score given to a film. Of course, there has been another Bond film, on these three reviews, of course, that I didn't take to, but mainly I did say some positive things about that film, and just kind of brushed it off as a film. It's not quite for me overall, although I get some enjoyment from it, and. But other than that, the three other films, maybe I haven't really uploaded kind of a negative, perhaps review, or a film where I give actual negative score to, and simply the reason for this is I no longer at least enjoy kind of giving a negative review, and this won't be a negative kind of. Tone that I in this review, or in a way it will be disappointment, but simply the fact, yes, as I say, I don't look forward to, when I'm watching a film at night or in the day, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to review a film tonight, or maybe tomorrow in the afternoon, etc. I don't think, I look forward to reviewing that, and I'm going to give it a bad score. I just don't get any enjoyment from it, really. I don't, kind of get much pleasure in kind of uploading a review that's kind of I don't have much things to say, you know, in terms of, you know, real positive, you know, kind of praise of a film, for example, or you know, or it's a film maybe I'm not giving, you know, a positive score to. And of course, I'll say it now, this film, unfortunately, you know, I think it's more unfortunate than anything. I'm not angry at this film. I'm not angry at, you know, the kind of the whole situation of this. You know, actually, it's kind of funny at times, but really, this is a very, very disappointing film. And yeah, Bond is my favourite franchise. James Bond, of course. You know, and just, you know, I love Pierce Brosnan's take. I think he was a great, great Bond, and that's kind of another reason why this is so disappointing, because this is his final Bond film, and I think, you know, it could have been a lot better. You know, and this film really, you know, it's frustrating at times, but really, by the end of it, I felt worn out once again. You know, at first, it's kind of a film that, you know, I do have different opinions on it this time around actually as well. That, you know, last time around I gave this a very negative score. You know, I think, and I've removed that review simply because it's a bit too negative. You know, I think I could have maybe focused on you know, more of the positives. You know, kind of not, you know, being overly kind of focusing on the negatives. And I know there's a lot of negatives in this film for me, unfortunately. But yes, to kind of sum up what I'm trying to say, you know, this film, it's disappointing, wasted potential for me, and just, you know, it's a shame. It really is a shame that this is the final Pierce Brosnan film. You know, I think he was a great Bond, as I've said. I defend him so much, and actually, you know, in this film, he still gives a good performance. You know, a fine performance. But for me, you know, it's just the script. It's the whole way the film was made, and the entire experience of this. You know, tonally, you know, stylistically, it's just, well, I don't really know what it is. You know, I think it's just, unfortunately, you know, with the sincerest of, you know, intentions here with this kind of discussion, it is a mess for me, and it goes into, you know, self-parody, you know, to the point where it's just, you know, it just doesn't work for me overall. I think the second half, most of the second half anyway, there are some highlights actually, and I do have some positive things to say very soon, but mostly the second half really, you know, it's when things start to decline, and I think the last 45 minutes, you know, there are adjectives out there, you know, kind of ones that people, you know, use for this film, and I think, yeah, you know, the best I can say to this is, you know, it started out, you know, promising, this film, and it did have some highlights, and actually this time around I've grown to kind of respond in more of a positive way actually to various moments. I really, really like the kind of sword fight sequence. That is quite a, you know, an epic moment actually. I like Piers. I like, you know, some different moments. Rosamund Pike is actually quite good in the film as well. She's quite, you know, charming in the film, and I like the exchanges actually at times of her and Bond, and just, you know, the opening sequence. You know, it showed promise. There was some good action there, some fun moments, some kind of you know, thrilling aspects to the film, and I think the middle of the film actually this time around is something that I don't mind. I kind of like at times. There's some sequences that are nice and you know, kind of charming actually, and some of the exchanges, you know, M and you know, and of course the character of Miranda Frost, played by Rosamund Pike, Miranda Frost, which we'll get to, but yes, you know, I think some of these moments, you know, are quite good. There's, you know, to praise, of course, and I think David Arnold, you know, at times provided quite a compelling score, but overall, this film, you know, unfortunately, I would describe this as bad, and I think, you know, it's a really, really disappointing film to end, you know, the Brosnan era, and just really as a Bond film, this is very disappointing. It's one of the only, you know, few Bond films I actually dislike, and that's a shame. I love the Bond franchise. I think, you know, it's definitely my favourite franchise of all time, and I'm just such a fan. I love, you know, all the different characters that appear. I love the kind of I love Bond for so many reasons. You know, it just kind of represents, you know, just true blockbuster entertainment. But this film just really doesn't do it for me overall. And we'll get to the, you know, the opening sequence. You know, this is quite interesting, of course. Colonel Moon is kind of one of the prominent characters, you know, in the film. Although we'll get to the kind of shambolic, it's just ridiculous, unfortunately, you know, kind of narrative of this film, and it's just once again something that just, I can understand how I didn't understand what was going on half the time when I was a kid, and of course, yes, just the whole kind of strange, peculiar kind of narrative this film has. But Colonel Moon, there's this whole kind of thing with diamonds, his trade-off, of course. Bond is involved, and of course he's kind of betrayed and captured, and of course 14 months go by, and of course he's being tortured for this time, and he's got long hair and everything. And then, of course, shortly after that, he kind of, he goes to this hotel room, and of course, he comes out, clean shaven, and he's got this styled hair. Although I think he apparently done it himself, which is funny. But yes, this whole opening sequence, I liked it. I think it's kind of it's thrilling, it's fun, and it has some kind of just enjoyable moments. I don't think it's directed, kind of poorly here. It's quite impressive. Some decent moments as well in the dialogue. I think, and just showed some promise. I was invested. I was behind this whole kind of these themes of honor, perhaps. There were some interesting themes going on here of some of the characters, of course. General Moon and Colonel Moon. His son, of course. A big character in the film. Although, of course, as we know, played by a different actor. As we go through the film, which is really, really insane. We'll get to that, but yes. I liked the opening sequence, and then of course we have the credits, the title sequence, of course, which actually plays out in the way you see an actual scene, from the actual narrative. Of course, Bond being tortured, he's put in kind of icy water and stuff, and all these kinds of things. Of course, he's kind of he's kind of wondering after this who betrayed him, who kind of who was responsible perhaps for this kind of capture, and of course why MI6 didn't kind of help, and all this kind of stuff. And of course we have M showing up quite early on. Once again, Judi Dench. I think she is the best M to me. But in this film, I must say, I'm not actually a fan at all of what they've done with M. I do not like the kind of interactions really throughout the film. With Bond, I think it really doesn't work. It doesn't feel sincere. It doesn't feel there's not much heart to it. There's not much kind of charm or warmth, or actual kind of meaningful exchanges. I think really it's very poorly handled, unfortunately. There's kind of the sense that this doesn't feel at all kind of authentic, or just like M was kind of portrayed in any Bond film, but really mainly the Pierce Brosnan Bonds, because that's what this film is again. It's a different kind of feeling, of course. Two past Bonds, and of course MI6, and just the members, including M, portrayed a bit differently, of course, to other films in the franchise. But in this film, as I say, just not authentic, not a single moment of kind of enjoyment really in the exchanges. And I think the dialogue is just there's something off about this, and just the whole way this narrative throughout plays out. I think the outcome of different threads, you just leave me kind of confused, and I don't really get the sense of satisfaction from these most of these threads. But it's just really disappointing, unfortunately, what they do with her. And I think the whole kind of bit where Bond is checking out of the clinic there, that's just it's really quite ridiculous, I think, of course. And yes, soon after that we have the kind of the hotel scene, which it's just I found it very flat. Once again, I realised how flat a lot of the first kind of act is, apart from the kind of opening sequence. It has some moments here and there that I kind of enjoy, but mainly it's very flat and boring, unfortunately, and just off. It doesn't feel like a Bond film really at times. And Bond films, they have style, they have class, of course. As is said, even in just License to Kill, you have class. Bond is a classy character. He's ruthless at times, and he's portrayed in more of a gritty way at times. A raw kind of blunt instrument way in some of the later Bonds. Of course, the Daniel Craig Bonds, but he has class, he has style, and the Bond films, the way in which Bond is presented, and just these Bond films are presented. It's not just style, it's not just class, it's Bond style, it's Bond charm. You get the Bond feeling. You can tell Bond film just by looking at the way the films are shot, the way the characters are revealed, and just of course the use of music. And in this film, I think there is too much. First of all, of trying to really pay homage to different Bond films, and just kind of maybe mimicking or kind of trying to play off of different Bond films. For example, Dr. No from Rush of Love. These scenes, of course, in Havana. A little bit into the film, in the first act, of course, you have these scenes where Bond is driving. He's kind of going around investigating. It calls back to classic Bond films. In its bare bones, presentation. But unfortunately, it just kind of reminds me about how much better them films are than this film. And of course, just seeing the scenes, we have the exchanges, of course. It's a character that Bond meets that, it's kind of giving him information. It's just, in the way I'm describing it, it's classic Bond. It's something that happens in a lot of Bond films, but there is something here that's just completely lost in the kind of, the execution. And I think, unfortunately, just things are very, very flat. There's just so much lacking in actual true style, and I think just the dialogue here is very, very off. There are moments where we have the whole kind of the conversation there, for about 4 minutes, of course, outside and inside as well. Soon after, with that character, and the whole kind of I still have friends in high places, and all these different lines of dialogue. They don't really make sense to me, in the sense of I don't know why, maybe these scenes were included, and it just kind of, it feels a bit random, and there's something off about this, that's what I'm trying to say. But, Brosnan, he gives a good performance throughout, and I think even, in the kind of really, really campy moments, he does, kind of give, his best, I think, the thing about this, Bond is a lot worse in this film, solely because, not because of Brosnan, I think just because of the material, he was given. What can you do with something like this? The things he's meant to do in this, the surfing sequence, which we'll get to, the whole, the one-liners in this. Again, it's like a parody, it really is. But this isn't a parody film. It is actually a Bond film. This, and you don't really expect that. You can have comedy, you can have campy moments. The Roger Moore films, I like all of them films, and they really establish a very particular tone, and it just works. Overall, every film works for me personally of the Roger Moores, but there is something about this, in the sense of it being campy, over the top. At times, it really doesn't work for me, and I think it just goes so far. And the tone is so inconsistent, unfortunately. And actually, I don't really know what tone this film has. I don't really know what style this film has. That it just doesn't work. Doesn't come together. As an overall experience, and as a Bond film, with humour, of course, a lot of humour, a lot of kind of over the top moments, campy moments. It just doesn't work. It goes too far, and there's nothing. At times, there's nothing in the way of control, with this, and it's nothing to kind of stop it going too far. And it really does in the last kind of 40 minutes of the film, which is just a tiring, absurd, funny at times, but really quite, lifeless, and just quite an attack on the senses, really, experience of a final act, which is really a prolonged final act. And by the end of it, once again, just the ending scenes, I was just very disappointed. And sincerely, I love Bond. I didn't want this film to be, a film I didn't like, but unfortunately, I still can't get behind this film as an overall experience, and it's just a shame. I really respect everyone involved. I really love the franchise. I have nothing but great things to say, about Judi Dench and Pierce Brosnan, of course, David Arnold. All this talent that is behind the 20th Bond film. The 40th anniversary, officially, of course, of Bond, in terms of cinema. But in that sense, it really is disappointing, and even the talent behind this, the variety of talent, of course. Even Michael Madsen is in this film. You've got all these different actors who are great, in other things. Halle Berry, she is good in so many things, of course. But even then, I think this film, in the end, is just very disappointing, and just definitely not one of my favourite Bond films, that's for sure. But yes, the basic plot of this film is another kind of issue to me. At first, it's kind of interesting. I think the opening sequence, for example, as I've said, it raises some interesting kind of themes, and sets up some threads that I think could have been, this film, I think, I absolutely think this could have been a good film. In fact, it could have been maybe even a very good film actually in the end. The kind of the setup, the initial kind of sparks that kind of got me excited. Once again, to see different things, how they play out. There is some, as I say, there's so much talent here. Once again, Colin Salmon, he returns as Robinson. I like the, of course, we have this whole VR kind of sequence, which is kind of featured, a little bit into the film, and of course you see Bond, as we know, going around, and different agents, are killed. But I must note, I like the kind of nod, Robinson gives Bond, and once again a glimmer, a little kind of spark of the kind of reminding me how much I love the Brosnan films. How they portray MI6. Once again, but it's just. This film, there's glimmers here and there, but kind of unfortunately undermined, by things that follow on, or just preceding, such moments, or things maybe 10 minutes later on in the film, that just kind of undoes, or kind of balances out, the actual positives, unfortunately. But yes, I like, once again, Colin Salmon, of course, Judi Dench, playing M again. I do like. Judi Dench in this film, moments where, M is not talking to Bond. I think really they kind of, the script, done things with M and Bond in this I didn't like. But yes, you've got Zhao, he's this character, of course. This character who, is very, heavily involved in the plot, and of course he's in the opening sequence. And then, we learn that he has, still has diamonds in his face, and, they're kind of embedded into his face. Again, a head-scratching moment. At first it's kind of funny to see, but really as the film goes on, it becomes ridiculous. And just, I think there are so many moments which we'll get to very soon in the narrative, and the whole kind of the father-son thing that happens. But yes, Toby Stephens, plays Gustav Graves, and he is, essentially our villain of the film, and of course. Miranda Frost, as we know, is this character who really, she's kind of a double agent, in the film. She kind of flip-flops between the different sides. But I like the exchange, as I say, between Miranda Frost and M, actually talking about Bond. And I like really like the kind of the sequence, the fencing sequence. I think, Toby Stephens, he kind of gave... some good moments there actually. It's kind of a villain that's kind of maybe smug villain, one where you see the kind of banter back and forth between the villain and Bond. Again, a bit immature really, in a sense, but I liked it. I liked the sequence. I really like the kind of sword fight after that. I think it's very well put together, and probably the action highlight of the film. And I think there is some the Ice Palace, of course, in the middle of the film. That's when for many things start to take a downturn. Things start to go kind of in a bad way perhaps, and I kind of agree with this. Although initially the Ice Palace, maybe the reveal, again, there is a poor use, I think, or a kind of undisciplined, kind of use of CGI in this. I said that before. The CGI in this, of course, just simply not well used, and it's a shame. It really is a shame. But yes, and just a reliance I feel on on effects over actual storytelling elsewhere. But I think the Ice Palace, the way it's revealed, that's quite well done, in a sense, and the whole kind of the scenes where you've got the kind of comedy romance between Miranda Frost and Bond outside the palace at night and stuff, and the whole kind of scenes with them there. I think I liked that. I think it was kind of charming and fun to see. But shortly after that is when things really they really take a turn. I think, as I've said, the last kind of 40-45 minutes of this film, you know, I could use so many things to describe this, but yeah, really, really, just does not work at all, and actually very, very, very hard to watch. You know, in the sense I don't find it compelling. Also, you know, visually it's kind of an attack, and it's just so much going on and just so messy. You've got a mixture of bad action, unfortunately. Um, you know, the surfing scene. What we'll say about that is just think about you know, the kind of early Bonds. There is action in them, of course. There are some, you know, maybe even some bombastic moments in Doctor No, but there isn't a sense of, you know, that this isn't a Bond film. This you know, the action scenes in this in the second half, I think, are just so over the top, so kind of showy in a particular way, and it just loses all the, you know, kind of sense of a Bond film or Bond action. You know, just a grounded feeling. You know, the many of the Bond films, they have, you know, bombastic or wacky moments, but they do in some way after the sequence or within a sequence of action, you know, have a sense of grounded reality. You know, the same with, you know, effective fantasy. You know, there is always something there that kind of is rooted somewhere. But you know, to have Bond, you know, and you know, in terms of, you know, audio and you know, visuals, I don't think the sequence, you know, surfing the tsunami, you know, in the sense of the way the Bond theme is used, is you know, completely a write-off. You know, it's a good, at times it's a good score, other times not so much. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of. But yes, I think it's not a complete, you know, the worst Bond scene of all time. But you know, really, to see, it just makes me sad to see this whole sequence, because I should be behind one of the big action sequences of the film, of a Bond film. The music is used, we have the build up, you know, and the layers to the sequence. But it's just in itself, this should never really have been for me in a Bond film, and that's a shame to say that. And I think, you know, the fact that I'm not behind a sequence that's, you know, this big and meant to be this epic and enjoyable and comedic, because you have the kind of the reactions, of course, from Brosnan, but that is strange. Clearly, the film, you know, in that sense, is flawed for me as an experience, and the whole sequence, you know, there, just again bad CGI, unfortunately, the use of it, and you know, the CG itself. But yes, just the whole kind of moment there. It's just, there's no sense at all of, you know, believability, and again, I don't go in for, you know, I don't go into cinema to or watch a film or a Bond film to be, you know, completely, you know, watching perhaps real life. I never do that with cinema. I don't care. You know, things that, you know, very at times campy. As we know on this channel, I love campy action films, but there is a point. There is some sort of line, maybe at times, that should be established, and maybe shouldn't be crossed. And I think this film, you know, well, surfs, you know, over a line, and it never comes back at one point. And it just goes on, and you know, just ridiculous sequence after ridiculous sequence, really, you know, to the point where not just the action, you know, it's just so over the top and just unbelievable. You know, something I can't quite get behind, perhaps. But you've got all the narrative twists, of course. Early on in the film, you have this kind of hint, you know, this kind of clinic, of course, the genetic, you know, transformation, whole kind of storyline there. But of course, Gustav Graves is meant to be Colonel Moon, you know, of course, the son of General Moon, and he's meant to be the same character. You know, I'm saying that, and it's just really hard to say, you know, how is that in any way, you know, something that anyone can get behind. You know, it just really is, it's ridiculous, really. You know, it really is unfortunate that this film, you know, went in this kind of such a way, you know, so over the top, something that, you know, the whole storyline is, you know, that he has this kind of DNA reconstruction, you know, as well, you know, this main villain, and the whole time it's the same character, would you believe, that's actually featured in the opening sequence. So, you know, in the end, you've got the scenes, you know, on the plane, for example, with the whole kind of father-son thing is tried to kind of, you know, it's you know, there's an attempt to bring it together and to kind of make it emotional, you know, and that's fair enough. You know, they're trying to kind of bring in an emotional, you know, kind of response here, and trying to add yet another kind of layer to a villain, something that they achieved for me in the other three Brosnan films. But in this film, I just, it's the same character. How can it be the same character? How can this actually make any sense? It really is just so far so over the top that how can I get behind that? How can I believe that? And then therefore, how can I actually emit a response emotionally and actually kind of get anything from this? It's just kind of amounts to ridiculousness, and that's unfortunate, because I think again some talent there, some real talent. Toby Stephens, I guess it's just a case of the script. I think, and the way the film is made, the whole kind of the tone of it. Again, it's just too much, and the whole kind of one-liners. It's not. It's got the action that's just all over the place, and just again not something I care for. It's got this whole last 45 minutes. It's got the whole kind of over the top kind of performances as well at times, because the script demands that. It's got the whole visual just bombarding of just too much going on here, and it's no sense of geography to this at times. It's very hard to make out. It's hard to kind of go along with the flow, visually, and the way it's edited is just really, really just it's too messy for me. But you've also got the one-liners, that just in the end it feels like a complete parody of Bond. Where we started off, it's not recognisable, and I never really say that about Bond because there's so many campy Bonds, and they don't need to be like kind of. Dr. No, for example, things are very, very different, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's that's a completely different, kind of judging. What is your favourite Bonds and how would you rank them? It's not about how over the top a Bond film is, really ever. But having said that, this is just in no way is some of this, most of this final act. In no way, to me personally, is this Bond or is this any sort of compelling cinema really. And I think. It's at times very close to being unwatchable. This kind of final act. It's very, very lengthy as well. And kind of it keeps going and going, and amounts to just kind of a throwaway ending. But of course we have Jinx, played by Halle Berry, and unfortunately, I'm not a big fan on this character. And I think we won't dwell on that. Enough has been said in the way of that. I think just. Again, not my favourite Bond girl. That's all I'll say there. The lines once again. The whole moment, of course, when she comes out of the sea, and the sea as well. There, just seeing that. Again, it's like a parody of Doctor No, and you've got all these different moments that attempt to reference or pay tribute in that sense to past Bond films. But in the end, it just mostly amounts to just full-on parody that doesn't really feel sincere. But of course, as I say, you have some really good moments actually in the middle of the film. I really like why I actually love at times the kind of sword fight. It's quite epic and just very well choreographed there actually. And Toby Stephens, Pierce Brosnan, the kind of chemistry there. That's really when the film is at its best. We have of course the Madonna cameo, and of course as we know she does the title, the theme to the film. And again, not one of my favourites. I won't dwell on this kind of these moments, of course, but yeah, have a cameo, of course. I will say once again, it doesn't bother me too much. It really doesn't. I think it's not bad. It's a fine performance actually from Madonna, and yes, a lot of people, of course, bash on these moments. I'm not someone to kind of dwell on that. I think that's the least of the problems. This film. A cameo. It's fine. It's nothing for me too bad. But the real core elements of Bond and the structure of the film as well. It's kind of like a two-act film, in the sense of you've got the second half is just prolonged kind of gradual building of of an act that just goes so into a point where it just never returns to any sort of normality or reality in some way. And I think it's just it's important to have sort of a control, as I say, on a film, an action film. But yes, in the end, it's just kind of once again, I think it has some good moments. It has some very enjoyable moments for me. I think Brosnan is back once again. He's good in the film, although not his best, because of course the only reason for that, is everything else. The kind what is he really given to kind of go with? You know, it's just a shame that this is, you know, his final Bond film, because there was so much potential, you know, for this film. But of course, once again for Brosnan, you know, he's got the movement down. Once again, he's got the kind of the charm when, you know, given the right kind of circumstances in this film. You know, the different moments that are actually kind of Bondian, that are, you know, decent scenes. You know, moments where, you know, things are taken a bit more seriously, or just, you know, there's something that I can kind of enjoy, you know, in terms of, you know, dialogue or different scenarios. But you know, I think really at times, especially, you know, later on in the film, what can he do? You know, it's just the script, what they're going for here. You know, I struggle really to kind of to see, you know, to explain this entire narrative and what the kind of the purpose was in this, and of course the action, and just the way it kind of goes in terms of one-liners, and just the whole kind of tone of it. You know, it's not really a film that consistently feels like it has a tone. It just, you know, it's this and then it's that. You know, and you know, it's just, and then it really is that. You know, it really goes too far for me. You know, in the end of the film, it's just you know, a mess, unfortunately. But as I say, we'll end it very, very soon, because of course, you know, this is just more of a disappointment than anything. And again, I didn't want to give a negative review. This is not, you know, me. You know, and first of all, I don't hate the film. Things have grown on me, you know, this time round. I think, you know, especially the sword fight sequence, and actually the middle of the film, this would have been a thumbs up from me. And I think just really it's most of the rest of the film that just kind of drags it down. You know, excluding the kind of opening sequence. You know, I just have to be honest. Overall, as a film, it's bad, unfortunately, and that's just an adjective. The intent, you know, the kind of the actual meaning of this, you know, it's this is a film. You know, it may be bad to me. I can't call it more than that. Really, it's close maybe to being a weak film, and one that's not quite bad, but it's not quite there. You know, unfortunately, it is for me a bad film. You know, really, you know, kind of it's disappointing to say that about Bond film, because I love Bond so much. But you know what this review is, what this discussion is simply, you know, my response, and really it's just disappointment. It's not me hating on this film. I've got nothing but respect for everyone involved, you know, in this. And to make a Bond film, you know, to make an action film like this, it takes a lot more than most people give, you know, these films credit for. You know, but I think, you know, just this film, it really is a shame. And I think this review, what I'm trying to do here is just saying that I do like quite a few of the moments here. I think, you know, it starts off very well, you know, in some regards. I think, you know, it's definitely competent as well elsewhere. You know, it has a really, you know, kind of strong action scene in the middle of the film, and of course, just, you know, it has a charm. It has a charm at times. It has some, you know, of course, some real talent behind this. It has some, you know, standout moments, you know, littered throughout the film. But unfortunately, you know, it just is a film that kind of I want to like, but I just can't. I can't get behind this one overall. You know, it's a film that, again, as I say, it struggles to really find a consistent tone or style, or just, you know, narrative that really gets me invested. The plot to this is just, you know, it's all over the place, really. You know, it may be convoluted, but that's the least problematic thing. You know, it's just the fact that it never really amounts to anything. But I think, yeah, there are some enjoyable moments. I think, you know, visually, you know, the Ice Palace, at times, you know, it's not too bad. Unfortunately, the final act, you know, you have the kind of car chase and stuff, the rescue of Jinx, of course. But, you know, you have this whole kind of, this character of Zhao, and I don't think he's a good character, unfortunately, but I think there are some moments, again, that hint, you know, that what could have been, perhaps. But I think, in the end, I have to be honest, I think this film is bad, and, you know, it's definitely... this may not now be my least favourite Bond film. You know, I think it's grown on me a bit more. I think it's definitely got some sequences that really, you know, they do entertain me. I get something from this film. Once again, we'll wrap up. You know, this film is not a film that I like overall. I wouldn't give this a thumbs up. I wouldn't give this a like. You know, kind of a positive score to overall as a project, as a film, as a Bond film, from a Bond fan. But I think I do like moments in this. I think there are moments to take from this film, and I think there's some enjoyment to be had for me personally. But I think overall, there's just so much, especially in the last 45 minutes, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't do anything for me, and that's all I can say there. I tried once again to kind of keep the kind of investment. Perhaps I thought maybe I'd like it more than I did. Last time around I simply focused on more of the negatives. But I think some things have grown on me. I think maybe even Jinx slightly grown on me. In comparison, I think John Cleese is once again I really liked the kind of the appearance by him this time around. Actually being Q, and of course he has some. I really like the lines, about the kind of. It's better than being, it's better looking cleverer than you actually are, and that's a kind of quite a good line there. And I think John Cleese, the charm is there, and I think I did enjoy him. I did enjoy the interactions, and just the whole kind of scene there. But leading on once again, as I say, moments that kind of are then kind of shortly kind of or short-lived, and then something appears, the vanish, just it's lines like this, moments like this, just really kind of taint, perhaps promise, sparks of something that could have been quite a good film. Actually, this one, it could have been. I stand by that. I think this could have been a good film. It could have been a good Bond film. But in the end, for me, I can't quite say that I like this film. Unfortunately, it is a bad film. But this is not a negative. Review wholeheartedly. I don't hate this film. I just don't like the film. And of course, there are things that I praise about this, as I say, but overall for me, definitely not one of my favourite Bond films. So yes, to conclude, as I say, I'm not hating this film. I do find some things to take from this, and I think it has grown on me overall as an experience, as a Bond film. It's still part of the family in that sense. I do have, some sort of kind of admiration for this, some fondness for this. Again, it's got some moments that I think as well are kind of funny to laugh at, kind of thing, enjoyable to kind of get behind. The kind of ridiculous moments. I do think Brosnan gives a good performance. He's definitely great physically. He's got some good interactions at times when the script or when the whole kind of film allows him to kind of go in this route of just this is Bond once again. Unfortunately, a lot of the time it feels more like more along the lines of a caricature of Bond. And in that sense, at the same time, the whole project feels more like a parody of Bond than an actual true Bond film. In that sense, yes. If you're interested in my score, unfortunately, with regret, I have to give this film a 39%, and that's very close to being more of a weak effort. But I can't lie. I think the enjoyment maybe is in that level. Maybe low 40% kind of thing. But a 39%, I'll stick by that this time round. There's some things I really like about the film. There are some things that kind of spark some excitement. There's promise in this. I don't write this film off. I don't think it's quite my least favorite Bond. I think it has some Bondian moments, but it struggles, at times to find a tone, style, and really a purpose within, the franchise. It's more of a, very on the nose as well, kind of referencing at times, past Bond films, and it's more of a parody in that sense of, and the way it goes just so far at times. Really oversteps the line. It never comes back, in the final act, I think. And the final act, to note, is about 45 minutes, really, in the sense of structure, I think, and form. But yes, very tiring in the end act, and I think just a complete mess, unfortunately, in the moments there. And I think just, all of it's just all over the place. The kind of reveals combined with the kind of visual mess, unfortunately, that is kind of hard to look at times. The CGI, of course, just not not effective, not kind of something that I get behind, and that's just the sense of I don't think it was handled well, and maybe concealed at times, and how you use CGI is always the kind of effectiveness of CGI is how you kind of balance it in that sense, and how you approach it. But yes, wrapping up, you know, not a film, you know, that I think, yeah, it's not a film that I hate. I do like moments of the film. I think, you know, I do defend this in some areas. I have to say, you know, I think it's got some good action at times, some really good action in the middle of the film. The opening sequence I like. So, you know, if you combine, you know, certain maybe stretches of 20 minutes or so together, it's a thumbs up. But overall as a film, there's just so much that doesn't work. It's parody form, it's just you know, mess. It's too much, too far for me on this occasion. And yes, just some frustrating moments with the character working. And yeah, in the end, of course, there's some things, of course, as I say, in the narrative, they're trying to be you know, something that, you know, it brings out some emotions. Again, some things, you know, themes that are set up that everyone can relate to. You know, but just the way they go with these different threads is to the point of just you know, there's no return. There's just no way I can get behind the kind of ridiculousness of this whole kind of father son, you know, kind of story that just, it goes in a way that you just, I don't believe this. I don't believe a lot of this film. I can't get behind it. There's always a time where I can watch you know, a bombastic Bond and love it, you know, or like it, but this film is just so far, and just there's a lack of control. But yes, that is just, you know, some of the film. It's not an entire write-off, as I say. You know, I want to like this film overall. I can't quite like it, but you know, in a sense of, you know, we'll end it on this note. As I say, I do, you know, maybe in a few years I'll watch this Bond film again, and I'll kind of, you know, yes, once again, I find comfort in some of the moments. Some of the moments I enjoy. I do enjoy some of these moments. I like aspects of the film, you know, sequences, or, you know, the middle act of the film. You know, a lot of this I do like quite a bit. But and yes, you know, I think Brosnan once again is enjoyable. Rosamund Pike gives a good performance. You know, Judi Dench is good overall, and yes, despite, of course, you know, some writing that I don't, you know, care for. I think there are elements to this film that I do like, and we'll end it on a positive note. You know, I don't think this film, you know, is a complete write-off. I do defend, you know, a lot of this film, but yeah, and I think, you know, it's still part of the Bond family in that sense. You know, I care for this film, you know, in some way. So there we have it. You know, we'll end it. You know, that's the highest praise I can give this film. You know, in some regards, you know, I care for the film, and that's it. That's it. Yes, we'll end it there. I can't say any more. You know, a few positives to say about the film, and we'll leave it on them notes instead of you know, dismissing the film, because I don't dismiss the film. But yes, tell me your thoughts. You know, on this film. There we have it. You know. There we have it. You know, tell me your thoughts. What do you think of this? I guess, you know, again, there's probably not going to be too many, you know, kind of positive reactions to this. But yeah, it's all respectful. It's all Bond fans discussing Bond. Again, it's a film that I can talk about, you know, to people. So that's a positive. It's a film that you know, it's interesting to discuss. That's not negative at all. And yes, respectful comments. I look forward to all this, you know, kind of stuff. And yeah, what do you think of the film? Do you like it? You know, again, I tried to like it overall, and I do like it in a sense, but overall, not quite there for me. And yeah, I think again, not the worst Bond film for me anymore, but yes, again, not one of my favourites. But yeah, it'd be great to discuss. Leave your thoughts, of course. And you know, next up, once again, another positive note to end on: Casino Royale from 2006, starring Daniel Craig. Yes, we'll end it there. As always, take care, and yes, thanks for watching.